A 0-0 draw at Stamford Bridge tonight between Fulham and Chelsea. Many of the new signings over January making their debuts. Mudryk making his home debut. The return of Raheem Sterling. Reece James, of course, at right back. And Ben Chilwell as fullback. And another poor night at Stamford Bridge. That is just one win now in the previous 6 Premier League games. Only 3 goals have been scored by Chelsea in their previous 6 Premier League games. It is 3 clean sheets on the bounce, so there's an element of positivity there. But I think that Chelsea fans will be disappointed with that performance tonight. They saw one of their record signings in Mahalo Mudryk hooked off at halftime, completely uneventful performances, completely um, drab display from that young man, and I understood why he was dragged off. He was actually playing deeper than Mason Mount in that game. He just looked lost out there under the lights at Stamford Bridge. Starting Ziyech was a weird decision for me. Although he created the best chance of the game for Chelsea when he played a delicious ball over the top for Kai Havertz, and we'll move on to Havertz, Gallagher, and Mount later. The fact that he didn't put the fact that Ziyech was starting, considering 2 days ago, 3 days ago, you sent him to Paris and then you messed up the paperwork so that he couldn't leave, was a strange decision. A strange decision from Graham Potter. Maybe it was a way of making the player feel better, but clearly he knows he's not part of your plans. You've scarpered his move that's frustrated him. I thought that was a poor decision. But the biggest problem for Chelsea tonight, yes, we know it's going to take time to gel. But there's 3 players I want to speak about: Mount, Kai Havertz, and Conor Gallagher. It may just be me, but I personally feel whenever I watch Chelsea play, every single attack breaks down or falls apart as and when one of those players touches the ball. It's nearly always the result of one of those 3 touching the ball. There was an example in the game very early on. Mount picks the ball up in the middle. Mahalo Mudryk makes a great run through the center, and there was a hole. There's a space to play the ball into. By the time the ball's played by Mason Mount, I think it was Tete, who was man of the match, by the way, closed off the space and intercepted it. But Mount should have made the pass 3 or 4 strides earlier. He did this when there was 2 or 3 occasions to play João Felix in when they played Fulham a few weeks ago. Conor Gallagher, he had a good shot in the second half that I think it deflected and nearly went in. But aside from that, Conor Gallagher is a lightweight, and he should be nowhere near a heavyweight club like Chelsea. And then Kai Havertz, you could argue, was unlucky with the dink ball over the top that hit the crossbar, hit the post and nearly went in. But you should be finishing that. £73 million player, early mid-20s. Been at Chelsea, 3 years now? Should be burying that. And back to Mount. He's lost. He is lost. He doesn't have the technical ability, and he doesn't have the power. All he's got is energy. He runs around and presses. Legitimately, Liverpool should sign him. He's a Liverpool midfielder. No real surmountable quality on the ball, but just a workhorse. He is literally Jordan Henderson without the leadership capabilities. And I mean that's the most respectful way I can talk about Mason Mount. That element of Chelsea was terrible. And look, I think this Chelsea team is going to progress. I think this Chelsea team is going to become better. But I will call out poor performances. And I think that when I want to make sure I get all the names of these individual players right. When Fofana came on with 15 minutes to go, he was far more dangerous than Mason Mount. Nearly scored. His shot was a little bit scruffy when he rounded Leno, who came out, but he nearly scored. In that 15 minutes, he was far more potent, far more energetic. You saw when Raheem Sterling came on. I think Raheem Sterling's got a future. He came on and was dangerous. As an example, I thought, I always get his name. Is it Madueke, who came on? I thought he looked quick, dangerous. As soon as he got moved out to that right-hand side, he kind of fell away from the game. Maybe he's not meant to be out there. I don't know enough about the guy. I need you to tell me and educate me on that one. But there's so many problems out there today. Who I didn't think it was a problem was Enzo Fernandez. I was impressed with his performance. I think he held on to the ball. He made a few mistakes and lost the ball in a few areas. And I saw people tweeting saying he loses the ball too much. He lost the ball today 12 times. That's the average of Casemiro and Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey 11.8, Casemiro 12.2 times per game in the Premier League. So it wasn't an exorbitant amount of times that he lost the ball. You have to do your research to see how that fits in with the best, and then you kind of go from there. He broke up play well. But remember, Enzo Fernandez isn't the guy who's meant to be creating the chances. Enzo Fernandez isn't the guy who's meant to be doing Mason Mount's job. Yes, he's been very expensive, but that isn't his job. And I think what they've got to get right is they left him in a single pivot. You had Mount and Gallagher that were pushing forward and consistently losing the ball in areas where they shouldn't be, and it was leaving him a little bit exposed. So Graham Potter's got to get this right. Graham Potter has got to drop Mason Mount. Graham Potter has got to drop Conor Gallagher. They cannot be in this team. They cannot be in this team. Not good enough. They don't have the power and they don't have the energy. They are lightweight cream puffs. They're cream puffs. Lightweights. They blow away. You don't have to be big, but you have to be strong. Kante isn't a big player, but he's strong. Fred at Man United isn't a big player, but he's strong. I'll give you an example. And he said Emil Heskey. I meant Lukaku. He's huge. He's not strong. He doesn't use his physicality as well as he should. And I look at Mason Mount, I look at Conor Gallagher, and they are absolute lightweights, featherweights. You can blow them away. And Kai Havertz ain't much better either. Those three are Chelsea's big problem. People will say that the team needs time to gel. As I think it was Mount came off, and who else did they take off? Mount came off and things improved as an example. You know, they took Ziyech off that shouldn't be out there either. Things got a little bit better. It should have brought off Kai Havertz as well and Conor Gallagher. Things would have got even better for them. I want to see a few games at Chelsea without those two because they're a disaster. And Graham Potter's got to sort this out. 600 to 700 million has been spent on this squad for him. And he's playing free, absolute, bog standard, run of the mill. I'm not sure if they could all play for Fulham. Legitimately. Mount, maybe. The other two, they wouldn't get in this Fulham team. Kai Havertz is not better than Mitrovic. He isn't. And Conor Gallagher, he does not play in this midfield. Conor Gallagher's not as good as Andreas Pereira, and he is nowhere near as good as, why is his name just eluding me now? My brain's just gone. Polinia. Yeah, he's nowhere near. He's nowhere near their level. And as much as this squad's going to take time, Graham Potter needs to be called out for big mistakes he made tonight. Start him hacking Ziyech. Woeful decision. And playing the three biggest problems personnel-wise at Chelsea, Mount, Havertz, Gallagher, and leaving two of them on for the entirety of the game, it's sackable. I'm not saying you will sack him, but it's the kind of gross negligence that could see anybody else in any other profession sacked. It's like a surgeon turning up drunk to surgery, sewing you back up and leaving a scalpel inside you. Legit. It's like finding your milkman drinking your milk on the doorstep. It's like finding the postman in the house when you misses. Sorry, that made me laugh. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It really is. And it annoyed me. I'm not a Chelsea fan. It shouldn't annoy me, but it did. It legitimately annoyed me. I'm like, why is Potter not seeing what all Chelsea fans see and the majority of football? I tweeted earlier asking this. That tweet now has had like nearly 1,000 likes and about 30 to 40 quote tweets. And it's just starting to get cooking. And I've never had a tweet that's had so many people in agreement with me. Even when they get a lot of likes and a lot of retweets, it's like 50-50 with Terry, you're a dickhead. This is not Terry, you're spot on. Some are saying, I can't believe it's taken you this long. But for me, Chelsea fans have got to speak up about this. Those three shouldn't be playing games anymore for Chelsea. You've spent so much money. Get them out of the They're awful. They are legitimately awful. I'm going to go to some super chats that have come through from you all. Keep them coming, my people. Make sure like buttons are being smashed. Make sure you're subscribing to the Football Terrace as well. Very, very important to us that you get that done. First super chat here says 2 days ago, Chelsea couldn't wait to get rid of Ziyech and Gallagher. Today, they both start. This tells you everything you need to know about the disconnect between the owner, manager, and recruitment. And mate, I think that's a fair point that you're raising there. People are going to definitely use that against them. How can you be nearly selling them and then they start the match a few days later? Makes no sense. Mudryk lol plus 600 million to draw. That's laugh is what Jay Thompson says. Terry, you said this Chelsea team is making top four. I said if I'm a betting man, I'm going to put an outside bet. Newcastle are the most likely, but I think they'll click into gear. But I'm being honest with you. I didn't think he'd start Gallagher and Ziyech. I didn't think he'd keep Kai Havertz on the whole game. If he keeps doing that, I'm going to change my mind. I said outside bet. Outside bet. But you saw when the subs came on, they were better. Start with them. Start with them, Potter. Start with them, Mel, mate. You're going to need to. You're going to get in trouble. You're going to get in big trouble. Mudryk didn't even receive the ball. So pissed. Yeah, do you know what's crazy as well? Like, taking him off at halftime as well. I think that was a poor decision from Graham Potter because it's now going to set Mykhailo Mudryk up for issues. Does that make sense? Or you've at least got to lie and you tell Sky at halftime, you make sure Jeff Shreves puts it into Gary Neville that he's picked up a little knock. And he's been taken off as a precaution. You've got to lie and protect him because man got hooked off. It's not a good look. Those jumping on Havertz and Mount, just keep quiet. Stop manufacturing excuses for Potter. That brother is clueless. Ola, listen. You can call out Graham Potter at the same time. At the same time, those players did niche. In fact, they messed up every attack you had. They really did. Enzo is good, but when teams see a midfield with him of Mount and Gallagher, they see food. This is true. That is honestly true. It really is. Some promising signs from Chelsea, but you have to expect much more from them. How long do you think they need? Will fans have the patience? Look, it's going to take a while to get this team purring, but I still expect at home against Fulham for you to create more chances. I really do. Even without gelling together, I would expect it. If I was a Chelsea fan, more needs to be done. More needs to be done. Havertz, Mount, and Gallagher need to go and sit down somewhere. This is extended pre-season, in my opinion, but this selection was horrible. Madu and Fofana looked good. I agree. They both looked very, very tasty when they came on. How has Enzo sold for 120? Terry, what are the traits that you promised us you were waiting for? You literally said you watched him when he was at Benfica. Midfielders priced expensively are expected. So what did I see from him? I saw what I expected to see, winning the ball back and then playing it into the players that are meant to be creative. That's his job. He wins the ball and he progresses the ball into the areas. If you're expecting Enzo to be Martin Odegaard, KDB, Bruno Fernandes, that's not what you're going to get. That isn't his job. I'll give you an example, though. You know, Casemiro wins the ball back well at Man United, but you know why it stands out more that he's doing it? Because he plays it into Bruno and Eriksen and Rashford, and they're delivering. Today, what were the people doing in front of him? Trust me, if you have Mount, Havertz, and Ziyech cooking and they score 2 or 3 goals, you would notice more what Enzo was doing in terms of winning the ball back and playing it around. He didn't have a bad game today, Enzo. Was he at his best? No. But equally, are we expecting him to be the world's best midfielder game one in the Prem? No, we don't expect that of anybody. So we shouldn't be expecting it of him. But you saw his qualities tonight, and there's much more to come from him. Get that garbage out. Potter out. I want Mourinho in. I want him. Mourinho in. I've seen a few Chelsea fans say that. Who else agrees with this super chat here? Mourinho in. Who agrees? I want to hear from you on this. We've got a little panel coming soon. David, Matt, and Ches are going to be joining us on the terrace very soon to speak about their Chelsea and the performance today. Loads more super chats to get through. They're coming in thick and fast, which I very much appreciate. But we've got to get them likes up, people. 5,500 people watching. We need to get this past 1,000 likes. Whether you like the result or not, support my platform, please. It means a great deal to Me. Let's go back to some of these super chats here. Can't wait till Felix benches Mount permanently. I bet you can't wait for João Felix next game. For one training session, Enzo looked like an improvement over J5 as a lone CDM. He just had Gallagher and Mount in the midfield doing the Lord's work with those bums, is what C says. They thought they assembled the Avengers. They assembled another QPR, is what Sammy's got to say here. A bit of banter there for Chelsea fans. Get mad if you want. We cannot build a winning team around Gallagher, Mount, and Havertz. Potter is a coward, is what Jafar has got to say here. Coward. That is big statements. I want to hear from you people on that. As a United fan, Mount is terrible, but Gallagher was one of Chelsea's best players today. Havertz has no position, in my opinion. Is it Madueke? Madueke is a quality player, by the way, and Enzo great from the start, is what Nick T has got to say to us here on the terrace today. Tete put in that 10 out. Yeah, Tete was class today. Tete was out of this world. Look, Paulinia, someone big's going to buy him in the summer, aren't they? The only Fulham player I was disappointed with tonight was Mitrovic. I thought he had a really poor game, to be fair. Buying players takes time to build chemistry. That's true. Play them and drop the trash. Let's all laugh at Chelsea. Disgusting club is what Cutmeyer's got to say here. He is not a fan of Chelsea, as you can see. My league predictions were Arsenal, City, United, Newcastle, Liverpool, Spurs, Brighton, and Chelsea. And I legit see Chelsea finishing outside the top 10, is what Joshua believes here. Now, what other Chelsea fans watching agree with that? I want to know now. I want to hear from you. Potter has no plan. I don't know what he is trying to do, is what Alexander says. At least the Russian mob blood money got results. The new Chetsi. The new Chetsi? I don't get that. What am I missing? The new Chetsi money has not proven to be the solution, is what Red Leg Guna has got to say here. Abdul, thank you for the donation. Nothing being said, but thank you, sir. Potter to blame. He selects the team, is what Emmanuel says. Can you please tell me the patterns Potter plays? When people say, what are the patterns? I always get very, very confused because I don't know what you expect. They don't have names. Chelsea do try and play a brand of football. My point is this. Every time it came to Mount, Gallagher, or Havertz, they messed it up. The nice little bit of football that led to the ball being crossed. I know that Ream got a slight touch on the ball, but that shouldn't make it go, 20 yards over the crossbar. Do you know what I'm saying? So, they were good. They should have been better in the transition. They had some opportunities from it. When Raheem Sterling came on, you were moving the ball better. And this is about players not being cowards and players taking chances and players beating the man and playing the right ball. Part of that is coaching. Some of that is about players feeling they deserve to be here. 609, 106 million to win the ball and pass to more creative players is brazy. Yeah, listen, I understand what you're saying. But players have got to be making the right runs and moves as well. And I think he'll develop into a top-class player. And, of course, he'll play balls that cut people open. Of course he'll do that. But he played some balls to individuals tonight who took the wrong touches. They came inside when they should have gone on the outside. And they run themselves into danger. And it falls apart. And, of course, people are watching Enzo to watch him foul now. No one's watching Enzo to see how good he is. Like, I saw people tweeting he's lost the ball too much tonight. And then you check the stats to prove it. And he didn't. He didn't lose it more than Partey and Casemiro on average do. So again, people's eye tests are failing them because they want to see him fail and they're not being objective. It's like, right, I'm going to look for all the negatives and ignore anything that could potentially be a positive. And I think that's unfair. And I'm just keeping the same energy because people are doing that to Anthony at Man United, and I'm not going to be a hypocrite. 220 million to win the ball and pass Brazy Paulinia 35 mil. Yeah, they both did a great job. But so what was Paulinia creating? What was he creating? What was he creating tonight? And he wasn't playing in a single pivot. They play a 4-2-3-1, so he's able to adventure forward more. So there is a fundamental difference there between the two roles they both play at their clubs. Gunner Down Under says, where has 600 million gone? A team full of attacking midfielders. Surely they could fit a striker in for 600 million somewhere. Can't even buy a goal, is what's said here. You think taking off Mudryk will hurt his confidence? Yeah, I think it was a mistake. I think Mudryk should have been given a bit more time, or they should have made an excuse up for the media. I feel like he's been slightly hung out to dry a little bit here because, again, rivals await. I get it. Arsenal fans, especially, are going to cook Mahelo Mudryk whenever they can. So Chelsea have got to protect him. They didn't protect him tonight. They hung him out to dry. They absolutely hung him out to dry. Chelsea getting their points amortized over 8.5 years. That's funny. I like that. Gallagher created the best chance of the game. Mount was bang average. Havertz was pathetic. Enzo fire first half, second half quiet. Mudryk looked off, is what Grey Wolf Dinner says. The reason Gallagher played was because of the lack of midfield depth with all the injuries. Havertz and Mount are abysmal, is what Scott Wilson says here. I'm not giving Potter time. No way. Take off Mudryk. He has no clue. Potter needs to go. Talk a good. Does talk a good game though. Datro is good. Was good. Enzo did okay. Who's Datro? Who am I not picking? Who is that meant to be? I don't know who that's meant to be. They are not better than Fulham, Brighton, or Brentford, is what Joshua Jack says. Yeah, maybe they're not right now. I think they will be, though. I think they will be. Why is Mount and Gallagher in the team? Victor, I don't know, bro. I don't understand it. I didn't even watch the game, but came to support you since you asked us to come when our teams aren't playing. Thank you, Anthony. This is what the terrace needs, is show up when it ain't your team as well and get involved in the chat. I appreciate that, Anthony. Thank you. Already done AJ's one there. Thank you. Mount, Kai, and Connor will get him sacked. Suicide is what God's will has got to say here. Well, they won't. If he keeps picking them, he'll get himself sacked. He'll get himself sacked if he keeps picking them. If he moves away from them, if he drops them, then they can't impact it. They can't impact it at all. Thank you, Headbangers, for the super chat. It means a great deal to me. Gav here says, still weak in midfield. Enzo can't do it on his own. Lots of progression by Enzo. Fofana should start. Noni starting on the right helps Mudryk on the left. Thank you, Gav. Reason spent 600 million is for summer rebuild one window, is what iTest says here. And DR says, Terry, I back my players, but Gallagher has to go. Mount and Kai can hold bench. Enzo sensational. Rivals enjoy this for now because you know what's coming. I would also say well done tonight to Kepa, by the way. He did pull off a very good save from a shot from Pereira. We have to say that. That kind of slipped my memory until I see it in a comment from someone else, to be fair. I can't see who wrote it, but that is true. No knee. I don't know what you mean by no knee. All right, replying. I thought you were talking about me. How do you know? Yeah, I've been actually housebound today. Right, I've busted my knee and I've been limping on it. And now my other ankle's now gone. So I've got a swollen ankle and a swollen knee, and I can't move around the house. I've made a makeshift wheelchair. I've got my office chair that's got wheels on it. I wheel myself around the house on it. Legit. Legit. I'm actually right now, I'm an invalid. I had a doctor's appointment today. I had to get the doctor to come here because I couldn't leave the house. I tried to get down the stairs. I had to like slide down on my bum like as a toddler. Got halfway down. I'm like, I can't get back up. It was a nightmare day. I had to get neighbors to come around and carry me back up the stairs. I'm actually finished. I'm finished. I'm so old. I'm so old. I'm done. I'm tired of Mounts. Sell the fraud right now, is what Emmanuel Drip says. I get why you are angry. I get why you are angry. Arsenal should have bought Jed Spence so he could win a trophy. Yeah, everybody should, like, clubs that win trophies should just, when they're like a fringe players leaving Spurs, you should just buy them to put combs down at training. But just so if you win a trophy, they can have a medal. Just to keep that stat going against Spurs, it'd be hilarious. Listen, we're bringing out our panel now. We've got David, we've got Matt, we've got Chesney coming out. Please make sure you hit the like and share buttons for us. Yeah, yes, I'm going to try and get better soon. I'm going to try. I've had like my legs up both elevated today to get the swelling to go down. Honestly, this last 3 months, it's been the first time in my life I've had any kind of illnesses. I have a cold. That's it. Last 3 months, I've just been a walking wound. It's unbelievable. Been to the doctors 5 times in 3 months. Prior to that, legit, I've been to the doctors once in 12 years. I don't know what's going on, but we move. Smash the like and share buttons. Panel time now, people. Let's go. Welcome back to the show, gentlemen. I will say it. Commiserations on another game without a win. Talk to me, Matt. What are you saying, bro? Just another game where you couldn't score goals. Only 3 goals scored in your last 6 games.
I mean, it's the same thing. We sign players, but unfortunately, it's the same thing when you still play the same bums. We look at the attack we played today. Kai Havertz, Mason Mount played as an 8. To everyone who says, "Oh, Mason Mount played as an 8," Mason played as an 8 today. We had Ziyech and Mudryk. Let's start with Mason Mount, because that guy, I've been saying for years, guys, he's done. He's finished. He's no generational talent. He's no generational baller. It's like I'm saying a script. I'm saying the same thing week in, week out. The guy's never going to perform. The guy's never going to show. He's done. Today, he was horrible. He's crying, pushing players over and then putting his hand up in the air. The guy is done. I can't sit here and say anything good about Mason Mount anymore, because the guy doesn't do it. The guy made one pass to Havertz and we go, oh, great pass, great pass. That should be a stock standard for players like Mount. Now, Havertz is not a striker. We know that. But we don't really play with his 10 role position anymore now. Coming Felix in the next couple of weeks, I possibly can see maybe Havertz playing behind the striker, but Havertz is not a player to play up front. You need someone like Aubameyang. And this comes down to what Potter's doing. Potter drops players like Aubameyang and drops him out of the squad. He's our only striker. The only reason I think he's failed this season is because you've got bums behind him who doesn't create for him. So it comes down to Potter as well with his selection. Because I just heard before that Potter actually dropped the centre-back, Badala Shield, from the UCL. So again, it's just Potter's decisions for me. It's just not right. Coming the starting lineup, Ziyech. Everyone was saying it. Ziyech was about to leave to Paris 2 weeks ago, and then he starts today. It just doesn't make sense. I understand that. Mudryk is a player who I understood him coming off because Potter did say that he did need time to kind of gel on the team. He hasn't really played football since November, so I understand. But when you got bums like Mason Mount who's dropping 0 out of 10 performances, I'm sorry, I would rather play a Mudryk because that's something new. Dasha Fofana, that kid came on, absolute baller. He was scary. He gave some threat to the attack. Something that Kai Havertz do not do. So it's for me, Terry, this attack is the problem. Enzo Fernandez comes in here, fixes the problem, but it's still not enough because you've got a road runner like Gallagher next to him. People say Gallagher was one of our best players today. The only reason, and Gallagher is like a Loftus-Cheek. These guys look fancy with the little skills and shit, but they don't do anything. They're just runners. They're road runners. So I don't need that in my team. I need some players who can create some chances and tackle. So I don't know. It's all over the place for me at the moment, Terry. But it's for me, I think Potter is a concern. I've always said Potter will never win us a Premier League. I think Potter's an interim manager at the moment because I don't see him taking charge. I don't see him making the right decisions. Even when, we've got these new players, he's still not making any right decision. It doesn't take, I just had a brain fart there. But yeah, that's all I got to say about that game, man. It's just the attack in Potter, man. But yeah.
I hear you on that. There's a super chat here, David, that says, tired of Mount fanboys, slap yourselves. Why start Gallagher over Carney? Why start Ziyech with the PSG fiasco? Why Kai at 9 always? Graham Potter exit visa. Like what do you make of it? The team selection tonight and everything else that went on, David.
If you're a long-term Terrace viewer, you will know that the first guy to ever call out Mason Mount for being a bit dead was me. And I told you all 2 years ago, the guy's not it. And you all were like, nah, David, you gotta see what he's doing. He's doing up pressing and I was just like, okay, cool. And then last year I said, if he gets more goal contributions, I'll allow him off. I'll give him a break. He got more goal contributions. This year he's got the performances of last year with the goal contributions of his first year, and he's put them together. Just ass. He's just hot ass. Get him out. Get him gone. He's gone. He's useless. He's absolutely useless. Conor Gallagher, how we should have literally Todd Bowley. The New York Jets meme where Adams can't get in the facility. We should have done that when Everton offered 45 mil. Are we stupid? They offered 45 mil up, like just gave us the money, and we said, nah, we'll keep Connor. And then Ziyech was doing up, oh yeah, I'm in Paris. He was doing up Emily in Paris, and now he's back here starting in my team. And it's, oh my God, my head. This whole game, I was watching thinking, all the players we've signed are good. The only bad ones are the ones who have been here for like 5 years, 5 years, and have been dead. And they've always been dead. And they got dug out by some Champions League run, which I still am confused as to how that's even happened. Because how, like, we went through a period where Mason Mount was actually winning player of the games in Champions League semi-finals, and Havertz is scoring Champions League winning goals. How did this happen? I need to, like, Thomas Tuchel, again, I don't want to bring him up, but he did God's work, because he actually made those guys look half decent. Now they look dead, and they're dead, and they can't play anymore. I'm sorry, they can't play anymore. You've got to play Chukwuemeka. When Andre Santos gets back from Brazil, he better be in that starting lineup. I don't care. That kid's got more goals than Mount's got in his bloody whole career in the under-20 championship. He's not coming. As soon as he's back, he's going in. Because Enzo Fernandez came in today, one training session. You know, I don't even know if he's trained, but he was better than that. He showed them guys levels. He showed them levels. Badi Ashil, all these players we signed, Badi Ashil, levels. When he came on, levels. The only player who looks a bit shaky today was Madueke, and that's because Mount kept operating in his area. If you go look at the first half and you look at the average positions, Mount and Mudryk are next to each other. Every time we somehow manage to do up interlinking play and create space on the right, Mount is there, bro. Mudryk runs at like 70 kilometers an hour. Like, why are you there? Why are you there? Like, go and do up interlink like you should do as a midfielder. That's what you should be doing. And the annoying thing is that I'm actually happy in terms of I can see what the squad is progressing to, but there are just enemies of progress that keep playing. And Graham, you gotta drop them. Just drop them, please. I'm done. That's my rant over. But
listen, I see where you're all coming from. I'm looking at that, and yeah, like, what did you make, guys, of Mudryk being hooked off at halftime the way he was? Because you know as well as I do that publicly, especially with a certain club that wears red in North London, that was sort of music to their ears to see him struggle at home, and then for the manager to make that big call. Like, do you think he at least deserved, 10, 15 minutes in the second half to try, maybe a bit of even if he was playing poorly, like a rocket up his backside, give him 10, 15 minutes to prove himself. He's an 80 million pound player.
The thing is, Terry, in those situations, I look at the price tag, I look at the performance. He wasn't tracking back at all in that first half. If you notice on that right-hand side, Fulham were making us look rubbish. Like, literally, like Tete and Willian were literally getting out the fullback and Mudryk every single time. So it was tactical. It wasn't a knock. If they come out and lie, it is the way it is, isn't it? But on the game, like, literally, I did what everyone said. Bro, we're playing players like Gallagher and Mount, and people come in the chat expecting anything different from that performance. We've literally been saying for weeks, there's one big problem with Potter and his persistence to keep playing the same players has disappointed us for years. The similar type of profiles. I'm seeing the same kind of game pattern today I've seen the past like 3-4 weeks, few months. Because the same players. The players who come on, who are the new signings, they bang. They play well. Even Sterling, he's obviously got a big competition now. He came on and did something. He operated, ran at the defenders, bit of interplay here and there, bit of experience. He did something more than what I've seen from... What the hell did Mount do in this game? What did he do? It's getting boring. It's actually pissing me off. Like, why is he playing? He does nothing. And a man in the chat going, Fernandez did his job perfectly. If we had someone competent next to him, even like a Kovacic who doesn't even play a deep line, it would have performed even better. But he's got to cover for two people. And then Mount is just like he has opportunities to on a half turn to play the ball in. He's slowing it down. Who remembers when he had a chance to run at the defender and it wasn't Mudryk, it was him, and he cut back and couldn't even lay it off to Ziyech on the run on the right hand side. Like, what are you doing? Like, we're not asking you to do too much. Do the simple stuff, innit? And he can't even do that. That's just frustrating to Chelsea fans. I can speak on behalf of all of us. We're seeing the same nonsense. It's easy to look at Potter. It's easy for rivals to say 600 million. But at the end of the day, it's the players. And if the players change and we see the same performances, I'll hold my hand and be like, you know what, Potter or the management, you haven't like sorted the synergy out. Maybe the profiles aren't right, whatever. But I can tell you for a fact, Terry, you swap Felix for Havertz today. You swap Carney for Mount today. just 2 players, I reckon we score a goal. Fulham they were good defensively, but it wasn't like we didn't create chances, even with our crap attack. Don't want to swear, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? So it's just frustrating. And like the only thing I can see moving forward is he just has to trust the young players. Even if the irony is, I'm going to say to you, if he plays the young players, we might lose games. I think we'll win these games. I don't think him swapping out Mount, who's experienced, is going to make us not win this game today. Because what did he do? What did Havertz do? Even that chance he missed, right? People are like, it was close on the commentary. I was thinking, bro, like, he took his time and went with his stronger foot. Of course, someone's going to block it on the line. What do you expect?
Yeah, that should have been. That should be on his right foot, round the goalie, first time, bury it. And
Terry, that game, right? Andrew, David, and Matt, didn't that game epitomise Chelsea Football Club this season?
It sums it up. Because we've been seeing it, the same players start, so it sums it up.
It's just the play, the defense. The defense for Chelsea hasn't been the problem. I don't think defense has been that much of an issue. Koulibaly, yes, but like Balashili's come in. We've kept 3 clean sheets on the trot. Kepa hasn't really put a foot wrong. James comes in, even him half fit. He still played decent, played all right. Cucurella could do a bit better, but I think Chilwell's better than him anyway. Defense is fine. The midfield's going to get better with Zakaria coming back, with Angola coming back, with Kovacic coming back. So I'm not worried. It's the attack. Stop playing Havertz. I'm going to stop ranting now, Terry. I'll take a bit of time.
Mate, let it all out. It's all good.
But stop playing Havertz and start trusting in your young players. Like Noni, do you know what I'm saying? Like Mudryk. He played poor, but obviously like it happens to players and he's a young player or whatever. And João Felix, when he comes back, I guarantee you, Terry, who we got next? You've got West Ham away. Guarantee you'll see a better performance. That's it for me.
I hear that. I mean, you guys also could end up in 11th place this weekend if Villa beat Leicester at home and Liverpool beat Wolves away. You guys will be sitting 11th in the league, which is an absolute madness. But I want to go before I go to some super chats. This is what's just been revealed about Mykhailo Mudryk and why he was taken off. Graham Potter said he had a really heavy cold this week. He has suffered with that. Feeling heavy-legged at half-time. We didn't want to take any risk with him. Madueke. Is it Madueke?
Madueke.
Okay, sorry. Came on and did really well. So that's a positive for us. So essentially saying Mykhailo Mudryk had a cold. It was a cold. He was feeling poorly. My view, why start him then if he's had a heavy...
then why start him? It doesn't make sense, Terry.
Because no. I back him starting because who? What else do you want to do? What do you want to do?
You play Madueke then, David. You just don't. If he's sick, you don't start him. I'm sorry. If he's sick, you don't start him.
Because I'd rather you start with the person you think is going to be the starter and then take him off than start with someone
I agree.
who's going to do it the other way around. Because then we'd expect Mudryk to come on and perform like. You
just don't put him in the squad then.
If he's ill,
also, David, remember last week as Liverpool, he did actually track back. Like against Salah, he actually did track back. So I'm not going to sit him like, Mudryk, he's a lazy player. Like last week, he showed to Chelsea fans he can like run. He is a good runner. So maybe he did have a cold, but either way, we play crap.
For me, I don't care because it's a moot point. I know that there is a potential in Mudryk. I can see it. There is a potential in Madueke. I can see it. There are potential in so many players. My energy right now is focused on these dons who are doing niche. That's where my focus is at because the only out of the triangle of awful players, the only one who has the slightest excuse is Havertz because he's actually not playing his genuine position, and that's me being very, very generous. That's me being generous. The other two, right? Those guys have no excuse. I don't want to hear it from any Chelsea fan ever again saying that Mount got a freaking a tifo in the stadium. Are we crazy? The kid, he hasn't done anything yet. Do you know how much time and effort some of these club legends had to do to get a tifo? Do I see Ashley Cole getting a tifo? Bro, that's the greatest left back ever. You don't have one. But Mason Mount, because he's English. I don't care, man. He's dead food. I've never seen a midfielder make so many poor decisions when he's making in an attack. He'll dribble with the ball and it's the wrong decision. And then somehow he'll dribble with the ball and people will make a decent run for him and he played the wrong ball. Havertz and Mudryk were literally running in 2 straight lines Havertz had beat his defender, and he played to the guy that was double marked. How, like, use your brain, like how, like, oh, it just annoys me. And Gallagher didn't do anything.
My favorite one from Mount tonight. There was a good bit of play from a few players. I don't remember who it was. The ball gets to him. All he has to do is open his body and a simple pass out wide to Ziyech, and he plays it straight to Robertson. And I'm just like, how? But it's every single time, and
it's every game. It's every
honestly,
game. It doesn't get better.
I'm watching it, not wanting you to win as a Man United fan, but it's still annoying me. I'm like, this is crazy to watch. You know what I mean? It was just an absolute nonsense. We have a few more.
The thing is, Ziyech's not much better. The only thing that digs Ziyech out of trouble is that his left foot can be a one and he can create a chance out of nothing. And you know what? Currently, I'll take it because we actually have we're fighting, we're starving, right? The other two actually they didn't do anything.
You know what's crazy about it, guys? This super chat here says Mount and Gallagher can't play for Chelsea anymore. I'm going to say this: Man United. Listen, Fred's done okay this season for Man United, but we had Fred at United for a long while, and I know I fell into this category of sometimes defending them. Oh, they do okay. We'll get by without them. This year we've had Eriksen and we've had Casemiro together, and the level change in Man United is astronomical. Stop making excuses for players that are not good enough. I heard the commentators talking about, well, Hudson-Odoi's coming back, but he ain't good enough either. Like, it's just, you know, very quickly whether a player is good enough for your club. Every now and then you get an example where they don't look good enough. They go away on maybe 2 or 3, 4 loans, and they come back and they do it. Yeah, Harry Kane would be a prime example of what I would call making it at a football club. Not having 2 or 3 good years. I say making it where for a prolonged period, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, they are a main player in your first team. You know, but very, very few, if they don't show it early, go on to deliver for you. They just don't do it. And I look at Mount. Mount, that first year after the Derby loan, he looked really good. And I remember
Terry, no, he didn't. I called it from day. No, we're not doing this.
David, no. We're not doing this. David, he did. He looked good. Hang on, if you let me finish, he looked good, and it was like much better than I thought. Well done, but now keep progressing. And I think for a period of time under Tuchel, he was doing well. The way he was delivering in that Champions League run, but that run in the Champions League, man has lived off that for 2, nearly 3 years now. He's been dining out on that for a long, like those old washed up rock stars who haven't had a big hit since the 80s, but they were involved with Band-Aid, so everyone still loves them. But it's like 30, 40 years ago now. That's how it is. There was a Newcastle striker when I was younger, and Winter Surfer, remember him, called Festino Espria. And in his latter years for Newcastle, he struggled. But at the beginning of one season, they played Barca in the Champions League, and he scored a hat-trick. And the man lived off that hat-trick for so long. And that's what Mason Mount's doing. Mason Mount is living off of a handful of excellent performances in a Champions League run, and that first season after Derby, he hasn't progressed and got to a level. Chelsea should be striving for every player to be near that world-class level. You need to strive for every midfielder of yours. You've got to try and get them to Ballack. You've got to try and get them to Lampard. And get them to that level. He's not even at Oscar's level for you. He isn't. He's not even at the level that Oscar was for you. I don't understand.
Terry, you just put Oscar comparing to...
Yeah, man.
Nah.
Oscar was better than
Willian's
him.
better than him.
No,
yeah,
I'm
100%.
saying Oscar's miles better than him.
Yeah.
But my point is, I don't even think Chelsea fans, this is your job to do this. I don't think you'd put Oscar in your top 10 midfielders of the last 20 years.
They wouldn't.
Oh, no. It's in a different realm, though. That's the problem. I agree. The problem is that Oscar is a middling Chelsea all-time player, and he's levels above any midfielder we have except for Enzo.
The issue I have is not necessarily starting them. It's what you do in-game. He didn't. Mount and Havertz had a decent first half. Didn't really do anything second. But Mount, when you persist with him, he is an enemy of progress in this team. An enemy of progress. We've seen it in both halves. In the second half, we had a good passage of play. It got to him in the box, and I don't know what he was. I don't know what he was trying to do. Whether he overthought it, whether he was going to pass it or try and shoot. He's just terrible, and that's what's going to. I don't understand this mindset of Graham Potter. You are probably the most secure Chelsea manager in the past 10 years, given that new ownership, the contract that you have, and the backing in the transfer market. And you still persist with players that have let the previous two managers down. You still persist with them. And people use this buzzword now of agenda or anything. You're right. My agenda is to get Mount and Havertz out of this Chelsea team and out of my club. That's my agenda now. And I don't care if anyone says it. They are terrible, okay? But the problem is the manager keeps picking them. I guarantee you, West Ham next week, one or both will start that game. Even with João Felix back or another midfielder back, or both of them will start that game. And that's the problem. We've got... You can say what you want about Aubameyang, stuff like that, but at least he's a striker or something like that. Fofana came on today and nearly scored the winner. He nearly scored. I just don't get his persistence with what I don't know what these two players have over three managers now. I just don't understand it. I just don't. And I said I was going to be vibes, yep. Terry. I said I was going to be vibes because they've done everything in the transfer window that I wanted, right? But it took 45 minutes of watching Mount play to make me lose my cool and just go, I can't do this for the next 5 months.
That's because you expected with those signings, the players that have been letting you down to come out of your team. And the irony is, we've seen at Man United. I will use us as a case in point. Maybe not in the first couple of games, he gave them a chance. But the problem players have been taken out. And certain players that were poor last season, Shaw and Rashford, have gone up to another level. They stepped up to the challenge. The rest of them, they don't play anymore, and they're going to be moved on. The fact that Graham Potter hasn't done that yet is crazy to me. And Laddie put this in here. Latimus Prime put in a comment here, and I didn't even realize this. And I just went and looked at it, and it's true. I've lost his comment now, though. I'm annoyed at myself. But it basically said that it's true. Chelsea have only scored 22 goals in 21 games this year, and conceded 21 goals in 21 games. So you actually look at it. Yes, you're winning some, and you're losing some by bigger margins, but you're basically drawing every game from a goals conceded versus goals scored ratio.
Conceding 20. The thing is, conceding.
Sorry, I was going to say there's something Jess said during the game. She said it might take a little bit of time because Tuchel was struggling to score towards the end as well. But there's still a question mark over Graham Potter. Were Brighton not scoring because of a lack of striker, or were Brighton not scoring because of him? Because under their new manager, Brighton are scoring goals now with Danny Welbeck and no Trossard, and they're still scoring goals. And I think this is one thing about Graham Potter. He has got to get his team he's got to get this team producing in a way where they score goals. But he's not going to do that, as you've just said, Winter Surfer, by picking the same players that have contributed towards Lampard and Tuchel being sacked. It's an absolute nonsense. And if you do drop nearly £750 million on a new squad, why are you picking the old players? It don't make sense. It don't make sense. It is crazy.
That's the problem why I say it's Potter's selection, Terry. His selections, you have to start get rid of these players to start new players. You want something new, you got to start signing these new players. And that's why I've said on Potter, I don't see him as a long-term manager. I don't see any authority in him to take stance and drop Mount and drop Havertz. But I need to say now, this is the turning point. We've got the players now. Felix is back next week. We saw what Dacia Fofana can do. This is where it starts, Potter. You got to wake up now, or I'm sorry, by August. If Mount's not gone by August, I'm sorry. I think Potter needs to go with him.
Josh here says, if Spurs beat City, are Chelsea still catching them? Probably not if that happens. I honestly thought you were going to win tonight. I really believe that the new players,
I was actually excited to watch the game. I thought
the manager was going to get it right for you. And I think starting Mudryk when he has a heavy cold and he's ill is dumb. It's his first home game. You want him feeling right to go in there. I think, again, I even watched Reece James tonight. He did not look ready to be back on that football pitch. The man looked slow. He looked, I'm not going to lie, he looked a little bit overweight. He did not look like Reece James. And when he was running, the few times he sprinted, I thought, this guy's going to pull something again. He's going to be rushed back. Like, leave him out. It's crazy.
Somehow, he wasn't even close to being the worst player.
No,
He's not even close.
I hear you.
He's got one leg.
Mount is a passionate Dennis Pratt.
That's a diss to Dennis Pratt.
That's a bio.
I swear Dennis Pratt is a Premier League winner as well, I think.
Leicester.
Yeah, I think so.
I think he won at Leicester. Chelsea fans all said that they would cook. I guess they bought all the ingredients but forgot to turn.
Terry, can I say something though? You know, the rival fans are so salty this whole stream because we haven't mentioned anything to do with the new signings like play today. and all the super chats are about the signings. This is so funny.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
but
It's
they're going to
expected.
come.
It's expected.
It's
Money,
funny though.
money can't buy happiness is facts. Says Sean Casey. I quite like that's quite funny. Chelsea were young players go to ruin their careers is what Alexander's got.
Reece James Champions League winner.
I've got another beef with someone. Yeah, Tony Pulis, right? He said on transfer deadline day, what is the point in Chelsea having their academy with all of these amazing players when all they do is sign players? The only reason we're signing all these players is those freaking academy boys are useless, half of them. Literally, the only players who have ever been any good from our academy aren't even from our academy. They're not, right? The current
David,
ones are Reece
that's the
James.
same. David, that's the
It's
same
Reece
man
James.
at West. David, that's the same man at
my
West
God.
Brom that got rid of Serge Gnabry when he was at West Brom.
I'm hearing people say, "Oh yeah, we'll give Gallagher a chance for the season and see what he does." Bro, you can just tell. A certain level of player will just adjust to being at the top level because it's different when you're paying for Chelsea than when you're paying for Palace. And Gallagher,
I'm starting to think
he's a Palace player.
I don't know about
He's
you. Those rumors are true. Those rumors are true about Amrabat. Just pay the money. I would have paid the money for Amrabat.
No, don't bring me Amrabat. Why would I want Amrabat?
No,
He's a World Cup merchant. I'm not doing this World Cup thing. Nah, man. We're not doing it.
I hear you. I hear you on that. I do hear you on that, David. There's a super chat here that says Arsenal wanted to develop Mudryk. Chelsea overpaid and are now forced to start him with too high expectations. Do any of you think that do any of you agree that the expectations on Mudryk, the expectations on Enzo, with a fairly novice manager at this height of the game, could come crumbling down? Do any of you have fears of that?
No,
I just want to address that first bit. You were going to pay the exact same money for Mudryk, by the way, Arsenal. You weren't going to pay any cheaper for him. Is that you didn't want to pay him higher wages, so you were going to pay the same money. First of all, listen, I'm worried. I'm worried that he'll be affected by the crap that surrounds him in terms of like Mason Mount. If you look today, Mason Mount was over his side of the area. If you look at his heat map, he was over on the left side quite a lot. And I'm sorry, but I'm worried about him being surrounded by. I thought good players might bring the players that we have up. I'm worried that the players there will bring these players down to their level, and I don't want that. So that's why he has to not select these players. I think Mudryk will be fine. He showed in glimpses at Liverpool what he could do in 35 minutes. So I'm not worried. I'm not worried at this moment in time whatsoever. But to say that say we overpaid for him when Arsenal were going to pay the exact same money is kind of
And Terry, also, like, people need to understand. Obviously, the owners want us to progress fairly quickly, but I don't think they're expecting Chelsea to even win the league next season. That's not a realistic objective. You can't buy under 23-year-olds and expect this team to win the league straight away. No one's saying don't compete, but to win it and to win Champions League and Premier Leagues in the same season, the season after, it's not going to happen straight away. The reason why we spend money is because you're spending money for the future. It's like any asset you buy.
Yeah.
No, you pay more for better quality assets because it lasts you longer and has more value in the future.
I agree, but there's no way they're not going to want us in the top 4 next season.
I never said that. I said
no, I'm not. I'm just saying. What I'm saying. If we were to be in this position next season, he's gone. Yeah, or even approaching this. And that's a bad start next season. He
needs to start. Potter needs to start improving this team between now and the end of the season. Where you kind of want to be going into the summer. Think he needs the fans going, I can't wait for next season to start. That is where Chelsea need to be by the end of the season, irrespective of whether you're 11th or 4th. It doesn't actually matter. He needs to get the fan because he's been told Champions League or no Champions League, you're here. So it's about getting the team playing right. Part of that is going to be dropping these bums that aren't delivering. Declan here says another $500 million should sort it out, is what he says there. Blame players for Frank Tuchel proved all wrong, is what Ola says here. Arteta tricked Todd into Mudryk and giving us J5, is what Martin's got to say. Mount was more focused on the ref than his own game today. I think Mason Mount has become a very just how he appears on the pitch, and I could be wrong here. I think he just I think he thinks he's Frank Lampard. I think he thinks he's John Terry. I think he thinks he's Drogba.
Mr. Chelsea. Mr.
Yeah,
Chelsea.
no, I do. I
Yeah,
think he
yeah.
feels like he's one of them. That I look
Face
at those.
that plug.
I look at those players as your greatest legends, especially of the modern era. I think he sees himself in the same light as those players, and he walks around the pitch like he's had a 10, 15 career at your club like they have. And yes, you won a Champions League, which is amazing. But those guys won back-to-back Prems. Those guys won multiple domestic trophies. They won everything. So for me, like Mount's got, I don't know, there's like a chip on his shoulder. There is a genuine chip on his shoulder.
Do you know,
Um,
and do you know
on
what
the
else
outside
is
looking
really? You know when like Mount and Gallagher have this like amazing ability to like lose the ball, do something stupid, and then just chase after the person who has the ball and kick them for no reason. And it is the most pointless thing I've ever seen. They just kick him down, and then they're like, "Ref, what did I do?"
Yeah, no, man did that on the wing today, yeah.
Oh,
That's
bro.
just-
And then he's put his hands up complaining. It's
You know why I
gets
think
me
Gallagher
so
does it?
annoyed, man.
You know why I think
Passion,
Gallagher
desire,
does it though?
intensity.
I think
Yeah.
Gallagher knows that he doesn't have the athleticism or power to be a Chelsea player. So he's like, you know, like little Yorkshire Terriers bark at big dogs. It's like little man syndrome. So he goes in and does like a silly tackle on someone because he isn't big enough to beat them fairly. And he isn't. He's a lightweight. The guy's literally about 3 stone wet through. And I know
He
people
had the audacity to turn down Everton on the
But he
last
did.
day. He
But
had
the thing is,
audacity.
he did it at Palace because when you play, everybody opens up against Palace. No one
Yeah.
sits low block. So what you get is he was playing slightly more advanced, and there was room for him and time. In a Chelsea team, when he moves into that opponent's half, there is normally a bank or 2 or 4 in front of him. The space between the lines is very small, and he's closed down very quickly by some big, strong players, and he just cannot handle it. You give Conor Gallagher an extra 2 or 3 yards of space for large parts of the game, he'll ball out, but so will most like Premier League players.
Like
If you
mid
give
to
them time and
decent
space.
level football players, they'll do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It was why when Joe Willock first went to Newcastle, we looked brilliant because suddenly he had all this space to play and that you don't get at Arsenal. You know, Lingard did it at West Ham. All this space that they didn't get at their clubs because people weren't sitting. You didn't have 11 men parked behind the ball. Hi from Montreal, guys. Funny enough to see Chelsea at 30 points, closer to P20 than position 20 than position 1. Carry on the great content, a French Arsenal fan. Thank you very much, Tom, for the super chat. Viewers, make sure like buttons are being smashed. We're nearly past 1,000. Thank you. My problem with Chelsea's signings is that they are all potential. Chelsea fans and board expect them to play and perform now.
That is.
But we're not even referring to that.
No, we're not.
We're
even
not referring to the
referring
new
that.
signings on today's
We're
game. Yeah, today
referring-
we're focusing on the old players. New players were the best players on the pitch. Enzo was one of the best players on the pitch. He did his job. We're referring to the old players who are still here, and they're the problem.
I think everyone.
Enzo,
I think
again,
if you ask a high percentage of Chelsea fans, what they want this season is to see some type of plan, right? Sometime going forward, playing better. We're not going. We've got to get top 4 now because we spent all this. I don't think any really Chelsea fan really thinks that because of the position we're in. But we need to see something tangible to hang on to go into that new season feeling confident this team's going to do something or improve. That's what we need to do. I would have been fine today with a 0-0 draw if I saw some ends. We had our first shot on target and deep into the second half. Yeah, we didn't have it like in the first half. We didn't pepper the Fulham goalkeeper or anything like that. By the way, whoever decided to put Conor Gallagher on corners, can you just never do that again, please? Your corners are just. I thought Mount's corners were bad. Gallagher's corners, oh my God Almighty! I've never seen anything like that. Good Lord, it was like when it went off for a corner, I said, "Why? Just give him the goal kick. Just give him.
Yeah.
We're never going to do anything. Going for throw-in. I'd rather you have a long throw-in than do a corner because that will probably get into the box. That's a decision as well. But it's like we're not. I don't think the guy. I've never not heard any of the guys say, "Yeah, we need to hit the ground here. We need to hit the ground running. We need to win 10 games in a row. Get in there." We just want to see something improvement, and that is where you can actually question the manager.
Yeah.
Because you need to integrate these new players in, but you need to start getting out of your own way. That's why I said before, you are the most secure Chelsea manager I've known for the past 10 years. Okay, you've given this long contract. You come in, you've been backed, you've been told you don't have to finish top 4 to be in your job for the start of next season, and they're going to back you again in the summer. So get out of your own way and stop thinking you're at a small club. You are a big club. Put your big boy pants on and start managing properly.
I agree. This here from Dizzy says Terry backtracking on Potter. He's not good enough. I didn't backtrack. I'm criticizing him. So I'm not polarized. So just because I think he could become a very good manager doesn't mean I won't criticize things that I think he's done wrong. You know, I rate my own manager at Man United, Eric Ten Hag. If he makes a mistake, I'll say he's made a mistake. I don't live in a world where criticizing a manager means that you're backtracking on everything you said that is good about them. You know, that's not how life. I criticize my children when they make mistakes, but it's constructive because I want to make them better people in the future. It doesn't mean I don't love them or I don't support them. Not that I support Graham Potter, but the idea I think is there. Potter's selection is bias driven, is what Victor believes. This is from Abid, who says, I hate these reactionary fans. Stop dissing Mount. Don't forget what he has done for us. For the believe in the process, you donuts. If anything, the main issue is the manager. Thomas Tuchel, the GOAT, would have won the Premier League.
This is embarrassing, Terry. It just sums up what he's done for us. You know what Timo Werner done for us as well? Timo Werner's won us the Premier League, the Champions League too. He's now playing at RB Leipzig, yeah? So enough with this fucking what he's done for us, fucking emotional standpoint, yeah? Look what he's doing now. He's a garbage now. And you can't sit here and blame the players you can blame the manager when the players are playing shit week in, week out. It doesn't take the manager for Mason Mount to make a 6-meter pass. It's not the manager's fault Mason Mount can't do that.
But Matt, Jose Basingo and Ryan Bertrand won the Champions League. What am I supposed to do with that? Do you know what I mean?
And do you know how I'm not unhinged? Do you know how I'm not unhinged as well? Because when he was started in the first game for England, I remember all these fans saying, "Oh, Mason Mount, what a player!" They had one game of Mason, and all of them said, "Get him out! I can't do it anymore." That's my life. That's my life. My past 14 days have been so peaceful. I've had a great time. My life is great. It was great. And now
I was looking forward to this game, David, man. I was looking forward to it.
I was looking forward to this game. And it's,
I know.
A lot of people were. And people wanted Mount over Bruno Fernandes. As a United fan, Bruno is serious levels. If Chelsea had Bruno today, they would win. What does Mount do in a game? Listen, we all know Bruno gets slandered because he's not good on the eye, but he actually delivers. Consistently.
Mount's not even good on the eye either. What is this guy? What is he?
I hear you.
At least Bruno does that. At least Bruno delivers in big games as well. This guy's big game. If you look at Terry, look at his big game stats. I think he's 4 GNA in 44 plus games. Something like that.
It's crazy, and that's what you need.
But he's clutch. He's clutch apparently. You know,
because of one assist. Todd Bowley has got it wrong with sacking Tuchel and spending hundreds of millions on Potter. Only Zidane or another top manager can save Chelsea, is what Raslan says here.
But Terry, do you know why Potter's not helping himself? Because he's not even letting us judge him on like his attacking play. We aren't even seeing it because he's choosing the wrong players. At least if he played the players you wanted to see,
yeah, I don't disagree, Chaz. I think you're bang on, mate. I think it's again. I saw what the team was trying to do today. The ball was going into average players who weren't making the right passes, and it's just poor. Tuchel wasn't sacked because of performances. Tuchel was sacked because he wasn't aligned with Todd's vision. Sack Potter, sell Mount, sell Gallagher. That's actually true. So Tuchel wasn't sacked for not being a good enough manager. I think Tuchel may have been saying, I don't mind a few youngsters. If you're going to spend 600 million, go and buy me 4 world-class players and add that to this team, as opposed to like 15 players, a lot of them being young. And I think that was the difference in part of the difference in the vision. Another super chat here from Twinny that says Mount, the best player on the pitch today, yet you plastic fans would rather give praise to Enzo Winks and the Ukrainian Dan James. Make it make sense.
He's not a Chelsea fan.
There's no point. There's no point on this one.
I just want to say
this is embarrassing.
I just want to say, keep sending your money in, man. That's all I'm saying. Keep sending your money.
Thank you, Twinny, and thank you, Winter Server, for that. I appreciate it.
Also, I would like to say, as someone who is very much against 100 million pound signings, Enzo really impressed me today. He really did impress me. He already looks quite old in.
Can I tell you something, David? Can I tell you something, David? You know, you're not on Twitter, right? But I bet you there was about loads of people had saved draft tweets about when he didn't secure his first pass. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, you're not worth 120 million. No, they saved that, didn't they? But he, like, again, he can't fix everything. Okay, he cannot fix everything. In fact, he had a decent effort in the second half, actually. The goalkeeper scrambling for, but he can't fix everything. And there was one again. There was another beautiful pass he put through to Havertz or Mount or something like that, and he messed it up again as well. So it's like, what we're trying to get? We're trying to deliver gourmet style food to some street dogs on the, it's only finished.
Well, this is the thing. You can hire Gordon Ramsay to cook your dinner, but if the only ingredients you give him are oven chips and turkey Twizzlers, you're gonna get oven chips and turkey Twizzlers. It doesn't matter how good the chef is. And
Right.
listen, I'll defend. This is where I would defend Mudryk and Enzo. They are going to get the same treatment Anthony gets. And to a
Yes.
degree, ironically, Casemiro started off by being slagged off, then he was getting praise, and now rivals have created a narrative about him. And that narrative is actually not that good. He just looks good because we haven't seen a good midfielder at Man United for a long time. Almost like saying, like, if you were starving, a potato waffle might taste like a gourmet meal, if that makes sense, because you're so hungry, everything tastes good. And you guys are gonna have nearly every single rival is gonna create a narrative where if Enzo gives the ball away once in a game, that will be blown out of proportion. Every pass that doesn't come off will be blown out of proportion. It's just the way it's going to be. I think Chelsea fans have got to buckle themselves in for the fact that we had a game the other day with Man United where Anthony was the man of the match. Man of the match, set up one of the goals, great game. But everyone clipped up one moment where he tried to skill and he slipped. But the rest of the game, he dominated. You lot are going to get that with Enzo. Enzo could boss a game. You're going to see compilations of all his mistakes. Like, they're on his neck from day one. And listen, that's the way social media has gone. Anyway, super chat here says, well done, Chelsea. A way to do Mudryk's confidence from hyping him up for 30 minutes of football against Liverpool to taking him off at half time against Fulham. Give Potter time, guys. Approximately 8 years or so is what Kev says. 750 million can't buy a win, Todd, is what Cameron Dempsey says here. Dial Square says, get it right. Chelsea's culture of success was always short-termism. Throw money, sack manager, hire manager, repeat. Classless FC killing football is what Dial Square 1 says here. Daniel Elliott says to us, I mean, you can't start every new signing on day one. And
so who said you can't? Who said you can't sell Mudryk today?
Yeah, it's very true. Sell curly haired Donny, Chilwell on a level. Yeah, again, Cucurella has been so disappointing. He just,
I think he's very clearly a wing back and not a. We basically sold Marcos Alonso and got Marcos Alonso just for 60 mil.
Yeah, because you've got wide players that play out wide, and then he just sits back and defends, and he's not great at it. It's yeah, I hear you completely. Listen, gents, I want to thank you all very much for coming on and having your say. Viewers, I want to thank all of you, my members, my super chatters. You're absolutely amazing. And to everyone who's hit the like button so far, a big thank you. We're back on the terrace tomorrow covering Arsenal versus Everton, United and Liverpool's games that kick off at 3 o'clock as well, plus other content for you. So make sure you're tuning into our match reactions. Whoever you support, we would love to see you there giving your views and your opinions. We go live after every top 16 plays, any game, any competition. So make sure you're here. Gentlemen, always a pleasure to share the screen with you. So we've got a new super chat here that says, we want Potter to stay for another 8-year contract, is what Headbangers says here again. They're coming out tonight. The rivals are out. And that's what we like on the terrace. Until next time, everybody, take care. Goodbye. God bless. Look after yourselves. And we'll see you all again soon. Thank you.